She tried to change everything, but the character is somehow too primitive. Teresa Squire, characteristics. Very jealous, becomes cruel if things don't go according to plan. Protagonist syndrome. Authoritarian. The girl has already added all the worst things that can be done, but she is still unhappy with the work. At some point, she notices that she has been exhausted lately and has become immersed in some useless thoughts. She decided to check everything one last time, and then she would definitely find something to do to distract herself. The whole problem is that she doesn't know what she wants to see in the end. A screensaver appears, which she turns on for the 100th time that day, and suddenly, the girl feels very dizzy. She doesn't notice how she loses consciousness. Some kind of loading occurs. People appear around. This is not the room she was in. Someone tries to wake her up, pours a glass of cold water on the bed. The girl doesn't understand what's happening. She's already in a new body, but she doesn't know it yet. Turning her head to the side, she sees a very familiar face in front of her and understands that this is Duke Raoul, whom she herself created as a male character. After that, she heard the sound of the system that the loading was complete. Literally everything around her suggests that she has entered the body of the character she created. But the girl is so confused that she doesn't realize it. It all looks like some kind of strange dream, only too realistic. Some notification pops up, come up with a channel name and start broadcasting. Villains. The broadcast starts, the constellations enter, and then she realizes that this is not a dream. She has two funny feelings because at the very least the game is not finished yet, and she has no idea how it will end. Some guy comes into the room. He is outraged that she not only got drunk because of the broken engagement, but now she also ignores her father. The girl knows this voice well. She recognized it immediately and thought that if only she knew that she herself would end up in this world, she would do everything differently here. At that moment, she stops seeing everyone around her. Some person appears in front of her and says that this is not a dream. Now that she has begun to understand the situation, he wants to talk to her, and he also introduces himself as an administrator. His voice is both pleasant and frightening at the same time. He will contact her very often when needed. He will be able to give her hints or guide her on the right path. But most likely she will have to give him something in return. The administrator's name is Oswald. There's just one thing. She doesn't remember creating any administrator. He shouldn't be here. Could it be that he brought her into this game and now he is the only one she can get any information from? Oswald asked her not to be nervous and hinted that he wanted to make a lucrative offer, and then asked to consider that a high reward means an equally high risk. If she fails the task, she will go straight to hell. In her case, hell will be an endless repetition of her childhood. If she passes the game, she will be rewarded with the completion of the broadcast and a return to her life. And if she fails, she will have to die. The girl doesn't even know how to react to this. She is literally trapped and also risks dying. Meanwhile, people around are discussing the latest news. An engagement break that no one expected. Everyone has a lot of questions for her, and she just comes to and immediately loses consciousness. It turns out that her character took the moment when she wasn't asked, and the engagement was broken off very hard. Then she reacted very badly to this, couldn't stand it. And now for more than a day, she hasn't been able to regain consciousness. And her father is also to blame for everything. The girl knew that he hated her, but she didn't think that he hated her so much. The man behaved terribly. It was his whim, which his daughter will never forgive him. While everyone thinks that she is unconscious, the girl gets acquainted with the rules and communicates with the administrator. She learned that everything is possible here. Destroy the enemy. You can even resurrect the dead. But she only has one ticket for one wish, and before making it, she needs to think carefully whether it is worth it. She asks to stop all this and return her to her homeworld because that's all she wants. Oswald replied that this was also possible if she used the wish ticket. It's very tempting, but it seems like there must definitely be some kind of catch here. It can't be as easy as we would like. Oswald really wants to see how the developer will play her own game, so he asked her to stay, especially since all the characters were created by her and there shouldn't be any problems. He is sure that she will easily go through everything to the end and calmly return to her native world as she wanted. The girl thought that he was very much mistaken because everything was exactly the opposite. The heroine Livy, the one who is loved simply because she breathes, and Teresa served as a villain who singled out the main character. No matter what the girl did, it was impossible to change it. It was she who made them like this. The world revolves around the main character, and she monopolizes all the love. A world born of sleepless nights will not collapse so easily. And if the creator knew how it would all turn out, she would have created the easiest game in the world that could possibly exist. Oswald was glad that finally, instead of her stony expression, there was one that was at least worth looking at. After that, he asked her not to think about it too much, as if everything was not as scary as it seemed to her. After the successful completion of the broadcast, she can become a part of this world, but if she does not want this, she can collect 1 billion coins and buy a wish ticket. This is the only way she can return to her world, unless of course she dies on some level. The administrator really hopes that she will be able to reach the end: betrayal and revenge, disaster and war. He satisfied the desire of the constellations mainly through dark genres. But now, the choice fell on the genre of romance, and she will be the main character in it. Oswald asks her not to forget that he will always be there and believes in her success. A moment later, Teresa wakes up in a huge bed and feels that it was not a dream, but a real conversation. There is an assistant next to her. She has been watching her all this time and is glad that the lady has come to her senses. The girl starts looking for the system window and does not listen to what the assistant tells her. Teresa asked where her father was, and the maid suggested that he was most likely in his office, as usual. The lady got out of bed and went to the office just like that. She was offered to change clothes, but she ignored it again. Some quests start to appear in front of her, but she doesn't pay attention to it yet and goes to her father. There's something written there for the main character in hard mode, but Teresa doesn't understand anything. In hard mode, dying in the game means game over. There is no hope that with the help of Teresa you can win anyone. So in order to survive, she must do everything possible and impossible. The girl comes to her father's office. Usually you can't come without warning, but still. She says that she has something important to tell him, but before that the man asks her to explain. Why did she come to him in her pajamas, and why did no one follow up on this? He thought that he would not see any peaceful days and asked what she wanted to do this time. She tells him that she saw Livy. He immediately opened his eyes and asked her to repeat what she just said. Teresa explained that she saw a girl who looked like her stepmother when she was young, her younger sister who went missing when she was 2. Teresa says she saw her and can pinpoint her. Livy is alive, and all this time she was closer than they could have thought. A carriage drives up to the estate, and in it the girl sees the girl that everyone thought was missing. The carriage stopped, and Livy, who had not thought that so many people would be meeting her, came out of it shyly. In the center stands her mother and father, whom she has not seen for many years. The woman can't contain her emotions. She wants to cry because she doesn't believe that she sees her daughter in front of her. Livy has grown a lot since they last saw each other, but her hair color speaks for itself. They look very similar to their mother. The woman literally pounced on her and began to hug her with all her might. No one doubts that this is their daughter. They are very happy to see her safe and sound. Teresa stood aside the whole time, looked at them and couldn't even imagine what they were feeling. When suddenly, she receives a message that from now on her life will become more difficult. Her sister has returned, and now Teresa will no longer be noticed and will be treated like a nobody. It's very good that the girl foresaw all this. She agreed with her father in advance that as soon as her younger sister moved into this house, they will allow her to live in the Valhalla dormitory. That's exactly what they were talking about in his office then. The magical school that serves as the main setting of the game is the location where 3 romantic targets can be met. And this is a great excuse to escape from the Duke's house. It's a deal. It's in Teresa's style. Raoul knows better than anyone that there is no point in her lying in such a situation. However, she will not receive official permission immediately, but only after some time. First, he turned his attention to the dinner in honor of the child's return. From the moment she woke up in the room, she was watched by viewers of the channel that appeared immediately after she got into this game. They were already writing comments and even sending money. These people ask different questions, but she doesn't even have time to read everything. In fact, she is not interested in all this. Her goal: hidden ending, paradise. Hidden ending of the game was added for experienced players, because there are conditions that you need to remove elements of bad endings for all the main characters. The difficulty is high, but this is the only way to survive at the moment. Only such a true ending can be obtained. They contacting the main male characters, and in the meantime, the feast has already begun. The Duke raises the first glass and says how glad he is to have his daughter back. He suggested that everyone should eat and drink as much as they wanted, because today was a real holiday. She is already getting compliments that she looks great. Some guys already want to meet her, but she politely refuses and says that she is not interested yet. Teresa already feels like they are starting to forget about her. She remained in the shadows and didn't notice how it happened. Comments appear. Do they feel like she is superfluous? But it would be better if these comments did not exist. She tells these people that there is no reason to be jealous. On the contrary, she is glad that everyone is happy. We are talking about a heroine that the girl created, putting all her desires into her. In any case, her role does not suit her. She was standing on the balcony, not bothering anyone. Some boy came up and asked what she was muttering under her breath. The girl doesn't understand what's going on and what doesn't suit him. She immediately recognized this boy, or rather, his difficult character. He is the current Duchess's youngest son and is very much a control freak. Giuseppe Squire, a child prodigy who caught the attention of the academic world of magic at the tender age of 13. It's not clear yet why he's picking a fight with her. They haven't seen each other for a long time, and he's acting as if she did something to him. Giuseppe points his finger at her and says that he heard her arguing with some uncle and asked her to stop pretending to be kind because he knows that in reality she hates Livy, which is why she is not happy. They're in the hall with everyone else. Teresa doesn't want to ruin her mood because he came up with something. She came closer to him, looked straight into his eyes and replied that she did not understand what he was saying. And also, to make him want to leave here, she specifically said that they are similar. He hates it when she says that. He asks her to shut up. Asks since when they became brother and sister and got so nervous that he even blushed. At that moment, his mother comes in and asks why her son is screaming so loudly. They have guests and it's not nice. He made such a noise that people were already afraid that something had happened to him, or that someone was offending him. Then she saw that he was just arguing with his sister, calmed down and asked him to come back for dinner. Then the woman told Teresa that he was still a child and apologized if he had disturbed her. The girl replied that everything was fine. She understood everything and that there was no need to worry about it. If it seems like they are having a nice conversation, then it is not so. These two people hate each other. They never show it in front of others, but they themselves understand and feel everything perfectly well. The early girl put a lot of effort into this character. She named her Rose. Outwardly, she seems kind and soft, but in reality, she is always ready to release thorns and shed blood for her daughter. If she feels that someone is a threat to the Livy, she will destroy that person without hesitation. But Teresa is not going to give up so easily. They are still in a world that she personally created. To calm Rose down, she made her happy and said that she had been thinking about leaving this house and living separately for a long time. Instead of being happy and going off to have fun, she asked the girl what she meant because she couldn't believe she was hearing that from her. 3 times said that the stepmother finally won as she wanted, and now they can stop hating each other. Firstly, she has no claim to any inheritance, and secondly, she will leave here in just a couple of days and they will never see each other again. After that, she calmly went into the hall and the woman didn't even say anything. Probably she can't digest and comprehend the information. Rose had long dreamed of hearing this. She does not believe that on this day 2 miracles happened, their daughter returned to them and Teresa made them happy with her move. A couple of days later, the girl wakes up earlier than usual to check everything. She is already yelling at everyone. The maids are very slow and do everything not the way she imagined it. She is afraid that at this rate they won't be able to tidy up the room in a day. She is worried and hurries everyone. The girl is tired of screaming. She constantly corrects everyone. There is a very unpleasant and disturbing atmosphere around. And before she never controlled anyone like that, but this time she got really carried away. But the most interesting thing is that it's not even her room. They decorate Livy's room. Teresa is very hungry. She's afraid to leave them here alone, but there is no other way. And then she had a brilliant idea. She stopped one of her assistants and asked her to do something. Bring something to snack on, preferably a lot, so that you don't have to worry about eating later. At that moment, the atmosphere became even worse. They looked at her in such a way that she felt uneasy. She even wanted to leave from here to the library, so the girl asked to bring everything there. The lady just turned away and started to leave, and they immediately started to talk about her behind her back. The girl entered the library, closed the door behind her, and some kind of status panel opened in front of her. Teresa Squire, status, daughter of the Duke Squire. Age, 21. Magic level, second. Intelligence, average. Magic power, low. Everything remained exactly as she had set it up. Now she began to think about her character settings. She wants all the indicators to become higher. Teresa created some kind of game. Apparently she started with magic. In the end, she came to the conclusion that the only characteristic she needed to worry about was intelligence. In the game world, magic is not simple. Everything is tied to special techniques. Magic formulas work according to a logic close to mathematics. The higher the level of the spell, the more complex the formula itself. All these formulas have already been built. The logic has been brought to a complete form. It seems to her that if you try, you can achieve incredible results. She gets comments that she is too focused on books and no one else is interested in them. But she explained that having a lot of magical power does not mean that the character can use it well. To master high-level spells, you need to study magic books and develop your intellect, which is what she does. But the problem is that Teresa hated books more than anything in the world. So despite her talent, she was never able to fully express herself. Now she wants to make sure that her intelligence increases by at least one level. An assistant came to her. She came, everything that the lady forgave, and Teresa had already forgotten that she wanted to eat. The girl thanked the assistant and apologized for being too picky sometimes. The assistant teared up a little and said that everything was fine. She was pleased that Teresa noticed it. And then the main maid comes. The mistress didn't call her, so she asked what happened. The woman came to see if everything was okay, although she had never come before when she was not called. Her name is Miranda. The girl remembers how she created her and wanted this character to be as unpleasant as the villain. Then she couldn't even imagine that she would get into her own game and would communicate with these people. Teresa still didn't understand why she came, and she also noticed that the woman seemed to be looking at the room and trying not to show it, but maybe it just seemed that way to her. All this is somehow very strange. The girl just tried not to pay attention to it, because now she needs to think about something else. Miranda had already left, but returned because she forgot to convey the Duke's words. He invites her to come down to the dining room today and have lunch together, and that's already very interesting. Usually he doesn't care about Teresa. The girl doesn't even know what awaits her and tries not to worry ahead of time. Time passed. The girl got ready and came to have lunch with her father as he asked. She doesn't understand anything. She's afraid that he wants to say something unpleasant. He invites her to sit down, behaves very strangely, and does not even look unhappy. The daughter was so nervous that she was afraid to hear the first word from him. At that moment, his half-sister comes. He greeted her, and then told her that the results of the test for his relationship with Livy had finally arrived. The girl had hoped that he remembered when her birthday was. Today was that day. She hoped to hear some words, but he called her for a completely different reason. Then everyone started to come together. It was a very ordinary dinner, and the only unusual thing was that they invited Teresa. Comments started about how she even lives in this family, that it's just awful and they would hate this father in her place. While she can't answer anything to this, since everyone treats her like this, she decided to get an advantage, specifically reminded that she has a holiday today, and asked if she could ask for at least one gift. The worst episode has begun, and she will have to live through it. She said that she wants to buy something. There is a reason for this. Father suggests discussing this a little later. He still doesn't understand what reason she was talking about. In the end, everything turned out even worse than she imagined. She was invited simply so that she would not be offended, nothing more. Suddenly, the man starts to get nervous. She just started talking about delicious food, and he already yells at her that she is attracting too much attention to herself. He doesn't understand how she can talk about anything other than her sister, who recently returned. Only this difference is understood by everyone. What does this have to do with it? She realized that it was better to remain silent now, or even better to finish eating quickly and go somewhere. It's just another day that only confirms that she is not needed by this family. She has to resign herself to the damned role of the eldest unloved daughter. If the girl had only known that she would end up in Teresa's body, she would have done everything differently. She decided to take a risk, reminded them that today was her birthday. She tried not to disturb them once again, but admitted that she was very upset that she was not given even one gift or a small piece of cake as a sign of attention. Even at this, the father got angry and asked how old she was to blame her father for such a trifle as a birthday. The girl realized that she had nothing more to do here and asked permission to leave. She doesn't want to see anyone anymore and will now be looking forward to the day when she can move out of here. Teresa doesn't even know who to blame, her parents or herself, because she came up with it all herself. She created these people, their character and attitude towards others with her own hands. The girl wanted them to be like this, and now she suffers from it. This dinner was terrible, and that's not even taking into account the fact that they seated her at the very end of the table, although they wouldn't seat even strangers and guests that far away. It's a huge disrespect. But she didn't expect anything else from them, and at first she didn't even notice where they seated her and where everyone else was. At that moment, some miracle happened. The father changed his mind and said that he would write her some kind of check, and the gist of it was that she would have an unlimited amount of money, which she could use for a year. She told him that she would not accept this gift. because it turns out that she herself threw it away and it was not his initiative. And she also thinks that there must be some kind of catch to this. It would be okay if he gave such a gift to Livy, but why would he give such a check to Teresa? In the end, she thanked and accepted the gift, and then went into the room to realize what had just happened. Usually, some unnecessary things were removed from her, specifically so that she could never use them. For example, a useless book that she threw away the same day, or clothes that she was embarrassed to even look in the mirror and walk around the house in. Finally, she looked at this happy family once more, felt sad and left them alone. In the end, everything went as she thought. The only thing that makes her happy is that she threw away the gift. Even though no one was going to give her anything, money is never superfluous. She doesn't care anymore how she gets them. The Duke has a lot of them anyway, and he won't feel such a loss. Viewers found out it was her birthday, and at one point started sending money to congratulate her on the day. They felt sad that she rarely received gifts and attention on this day, so they did everything they could. At this point, her head starts to spin. Teresa remembers well that the last time this started, the administrator appeared in front of her. This is what happened this time. He caught her and congratulated her not only on her birthday, but also on the increase in the channel level. There are 5 levels of channel rating in total: bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. The administrator said that as the channel level increases, the maximum amount of cash gift that a viewer can send increases tenfold. Since the channel was upgraded to silver, it means she can receive up to 1,000 coins at a time. The girl asked if there were those who bought the wish ticket. As far as she knows, even if you reach the diamond level, the maximum amount of the cash gift will only be 1 million. The guy said that such a case had already happened, but he couldn't yet say what kind of situation it was. This time he brought her knowledge from dimensions where magic was developed, and he thinks she should like it. When suddenly, she asked him to come closer to the matter and asked why he came. Because there must be a reason why he stopped time, and also very slowly leads to the main point of the conversation, sir. He says that there is no case. It's just that he, as the admin of this channel, is obliged to regularly check its status. And usually people like it, but in her case, she is very different from others, and it gets to him. She wanted to say that since he had already looked at her, everything was fine. Then he could let her go back. When suddenly, the guy asks an unexpected and strange question. Does Teresa really not want to be friends with him? The girl understands that he is on a completely different level, and if this guy gets bored, then a person like her will disappear in an instant. For him, it will be as easy as deleting an unnecessary file on the computer. With one click, she is silent, does not answer him, and he thought that she does not want to pretend to be friends and she is interested in something else. The girl explained that she was simply afraid of him and didn't know if she would regret it if she started trusting him. Oswald praised her for her honesty, but it seems he has no plans to back down. Teresa is very tense and understands that she still needs to be honest with him because the administrator sees right through her. She has no idea what all this means, what this conversation is about, and what he means. Oswald reminded that she does not yet understand her situation, and they are not the kind of people who trust and rely on each other. After that, he called her a toy. It was very offensive. Now she would even more not want to have any close relationship with him. Finally, he is already returning her back. Only before that, he started hinting about something again, that she must forget her role if she wants to be loved. Teresa did not understand this either, but that's not all. He kissed her lightly on the cheek, as if he didn't care whether she wanted it or not. The girl immediately moved away from him, and with each passing second she began to feel hatred towards this man. He allows himself too much. A moment later, she teleported into the game and became very confused. She doesn't like that some administrator can be so impudent. For him, she is a toy. He said so himself, and it's very disgusting. The worst thing is that she can't resist. Her life here depends on how well he treats her. If something goes wrong, she will get a difficult level and will be left without his help. Let Teresa not understand what he hopes for, but she is sure of one thing. If there is a way to destroy him, she is not going to hesitate. Suddenly, the girl loses consciousness, and at that very moment her father entered the room. A doctor came to them. He examined the girl. They all carried her to the bed and calmed down, because they found out that nothing serious had happened. She fell because of dizziness. The doctor gave her some medicine, so she should feel better soon. No one expected this, but her father was with her all the time. He even wondered why her room was in the most remote part of the house, but he had never been interested in this before. Today, the man looked into the eyes of this child. It was strange for him, but his heart sank very much. Time passed. The next day came. She wakes up as if nothing had happened and sees a lot of comments that had accumulated over the whole night. Everyone is talking about her father's appearance. Some don't even write comments. They just send money, and she doesn't understand anything. In the meantime, the assistants came. They asked if everything was okay. They checked her every hour, and finally, they were happy because they saw her conscious. The lady said she was fine and asked to help her get ready. Teresa is waiting for her hair to be done and thinks that no one comes to her at such a time. She wasn't expecting anyone and doesn't understand what's going on. Someone knocked on the door. She allowed them to enter, but she didn't even think that something like this would await her. A lot of men appeared in the room. They were all carrying something in their hands, and this was only a small part of what they were ordered to bring here. The girl found out that this was new furniture, and they would take the old one with them and carry it to another room. She is completely perplexed. Her birthday has already passed. She received a gift, and it cannot be that someone suddenly decided to update her furniture. The assistant asks her if he can leave the door open while they set everything up here, and she doesn't answer the question, but asks if they accidentally mixed up the room. The Duke told them that the furniture in this room was not in keeping with my lady's dignity, so he ordered it to be replaced with new ones, which sounds too suspicious. She will definitely figure this out, but now it is better not to burden yourself in the morning. Suddenly, everything is not as wonderful as it may seem. The girl had not yet left the room when she was told that the gentleman had asked her to go down to the garden and said that he had something for her. Teresa immediately went outside. The butler met her and said that it was a gift for her. This is a personal carriage. Now she can use it at any time and not worry that she might not have enough transport. She tells him that there is some mistake. She has already received the money and the carriage. This is too much and she will never believe it. The butler reported that the gentleman had asked for the carriage to be presented as another birthday present. He doesn't think it's too much, and no one knows if there's anything else in store for her. Teresa is afraid that she will have to pay a big price for this later because her father is not the kind of person from whom one can calmly accept gifts, especially such expensive ones. She thought about it for a long time and didn't notice how the whole family approached her, even with a smile and not by chance. The girl replied that she was fine and looked at each of them with a very suspicious look. It seems to her that the only reason he gave her so many gifts is because he wants to atone for his guilt for forgetting and having to remind her about the holiday. The man asked how she liked the carriage. She thanked him and said that it was beautiful. This is the first time he gives her anything. For a moment she feels good, but she still thinks something is wrong. There is no way that anyone in this family would want to please her, especially her father. She knows this man too well. He doesn't tell everything, and usually when she had a good day, something terrible would happen right after that. This pattern haunts her character all her life. She, as the creator, knows all these characters better than they know themselves. Nothing can be hidden from her. This world was created by her hands. There can be no miracles here. And in the meantime, the carriage turned out to be so beautiful that even the stepbrother wanted to ride in it. She let him come in because she can imagine how interesting it would be at his age. She herself is even afraid to touch such beauty. Everything inside is shining. It is clear that no one has been inside her before. Teresa says the interior may seem simple compared to other crews, but it is the minimalist design that requires the greatest craftsmanship. Despite its outward modesty, the price is excessively high, since materials resistant to moisture and heat were used. Her parents couldn't even imagine that she understood such things, and she didn't even notice how she started telling them about it. She was afraid that they would suddenly ask how she knew all this because he would be able to answer this question. She knows about it from a past life, and now her brother is already asking this question. I had to say that I heard about it somewhere, and I don't remember when it happened. Pretended that she just had a good memory, although, in fact, that was not the case. Livy comes up to her and says that the carriage is lovely and everything would be fine. But the girl clearly saw that her sister didn't even look at the carriage, and this seemed strange. Teresa thought about going into the room, thanked everyone again and said goodbye. But Livy decided to stop her, asked her to stay for a couple of minutes because she had something for her. She says there is nothing special here, but she prepared this gift herself. Teresa immediately understood everything. It means that some event is taking place today. In the original, when Livy belatedly finds out about Teresa's birthday and gives her a gift, Teresa doesn't even look at it and angrily throws it right on the floor. But if she allows herself to do this now, the direct path to death is guaranteed. Naturally, the girl accepted this gift and asked if she could open it right now, in front of everyone, or if it would be better to do it in private. Livy doesn't mind. On the contrary, she will only be glad and said in advance that the gift may not look very good, but she tried. Teresa expected to see something ugly, but the handiwork was done very neatly, and she does not understand why Livy was so worried. She said it was very cute and beautiful. She even wanted to try it on to see how it would look on her hand. She did it. The bracelet looks even better this way. Teresa promised that she will wear it more often. At that moment, the parents suddenly decided to apologize again for not congratulating the girl on time. And the stepmother said that this would still not be enough. She began to take off the family jewel that she brought with her when she got married. The woman understands that maybe it is not in fashion now, but this aquamarine pendant is of good quality and she thinks it is also a worthy gift. Teresa doesn't understand who replaced all these people. They don't look like themselves. She had never received from them as much in her entire life as she received this morning. The girl is silent, and at that moment the administrator contacts her. He suggests that usually in such cases it is customary to thank, but for some reason she does not do this. If her parents get offended now, she will only make things worse and ruin everything. The girl apologized for acting very rudely, but for some reason she thanked them so coldly that she didn't even smile. And after that she started saying goodbye and running to her room. But for the sake of decency, she could have talked to them. It is clear that her father expected a slightly different reaction and is very unhappy with how she reacted to the gifts. He asks her to stop, but she can no longer hear him because she has run too far. Teresa now doesn't even understand where and from whom she's running. She's just scared. She is not used to this kind of behavior, and now it is easier for her to run away than to deal with all this. The girl had already run up to the fountain. She stopped and began to look at her reflection in it. She can no longer control herself. She cries and can't find a place for herself. Teresa didn't grow up in an atmosphere of love and trust, so everything that happened really scares her, and it's a completely normal reaction. The next day came. Yesterday the girl was busy. She was in her room all the time, so she woke up rested, even earlier than usual. The assistant had already done her a light hairstyle, added a very beautiful package that emphasized the beautiful hair color. Meanwhile, when everything was already ready, the assistant only now dared to ask, "Isn't the school year starting tomorrow?" The lady is dressed so smartly and she thought the girl might have gotten something mixed up. Teresa replied that she remembered everything. Everything was fine. She just needed to buy something and go out to a crowded place. She is interested in the dimension key. It is a necessary item to open the hidden ending of paradise. When using the dimension key to open a door in a certain place, with a probability close to 0, you can get to paradise. The assistant immediately warned that Count Phobio might be there today, but the girl doesn't quite understand why this should scare her. And then she remembered, this is the same ex-fiancé with whom the engagement was broken off. The girl is already completely ready. No one and nothing will stop her, because what she can get thanks to this key is more important than everything else. She goes down to the first floor and sees Giuseppe, who shouldn't be in the hall at such a late hour. It's clear that he's unhappy with something. It's as if he's offended by her. She told him that she was going to the store, and it was unclear to him why she had degenerated so much. The girl asked what was strange about the way she looked, because she thought that this image suited her. The boy said that the dress was not bad, but it was missing something and decided to add something. He thinks it's much better this way. He asked her to shine like the stars in the sky. For this, he sprinkled her dress with glitter. Giuseppe asked her not to thank him and just silently go about her business until he changed his mind and took the glitter from her ear. Naturally, the girl arrived in her new carriage. People noticed the carriage and immediately began to gather to see who arrived in it. Someone noticed the seal and thought it was the Duke's carriage, but no one even imagines that in fact, it is his daughter. The girl came out to the people. She looked simply gorgeous. There are not enough words to describe how this dress suits her. She was met by some assistant. He said that he was waiting for her and asked her to go to the right. Even those who treat her badly have started to envy her outfit today. She is so irresistible. Some people started saying that she didn't belong here. She heard it and remembered their faces, and then asked Elizabeth to find out where their families were from, and to tell her that if she heard anything like that again, or if she saw them again, she would personally cross their names off the list of aristocrats. The assistant promised that she would do as she said, and then she couldn't resist, and complimented me on the dress. Teresa doesn't want to waste time. She suggested to go shopping right away because she can't wait to get this key in her hands. The sale had not yet begun, so they remained in the hall where the most influential people were around, most of whom the girl sees for the first time. She knows something about them. Even among the elite, there is a clear hierarchy. In fact, aristocrats receive status only for the sake of access here. The peculiarity of this place is that the service here is almost unnoticeable. Guests can completely relax, but you shouldn't get carried away with it. Everyone here is a noble aristocrat, but those who are higher in status than her are very few, and opportunities like this give a chance to many who want to be friends with her or at least get to know her. At some point, a guy was passing by and they accidentally bumped into each other. He started to get indignant and asked her to look where she was going. They looked at each other. He recognized her and immediately began to fall on his knees to apologize. But the way he spoke to her, she tells him that he did nothing wrong, takes a closer look and realizes that the guy is too similar to Fabio, her ex-fiancé. In the end, she let him go, never understanding whether he recognized her, and tried to forget about this situation. The girl stands calmly in the center of the hall, looks at people and waits for that long-awaited moment when she can get her key. Teresa is starting to get tired of attracting so much attention. She can't even finish her dessert in peace. Everyone around her is talking only about her. For example, now, some girl came up to her, started talking, and it seems she doesn't see that she's a little out of time. Teresa, having no idea who it was, began to remember, but nothing worked. Comments started that she created these characters herself and doesn't remember whose name is or who is who. The girl saw that the administrator was starting to block users who were ruining her mood. It was very nice, but now I need to answer something to these ladies so as not to seem too arrogant. She didn't even have time to say anything before another woman came up. She said hello and said how nice it was to see so many familiar faces. She wanted to join their conversation. She asked about it very politely. Teresa turned to her and, unlike the others, she remembered this character in the first second. Madame Chatti, the wife of the Marquis, whose mother is part of the imperial family, a noble lady of high social status and reputation. And in the future, she will also become Livy's etiquette teacher. The girl didn't expect to see her here. She was very worried and still hasn't answered anyone. She looks like a very nice woman. Teresa begins to calm down and at that moment receives a task from the system. She must be the first to greet the noblest lady here, Madame Chatti, but she does not know the names and titles of the other characters. Teresa asks to give her at least some hint, and then a notification pops up. A new product has appeared in the store. We are talking about a store inside the game, and the goods are such help for which you need to give a few coins. For example, in the store there is an option to check a character. It costs 5,000 coins. For this money, the girl will be able to check all the information about the person, name, age, and much more. She paid this money so that later she could maintain a conversation with this person and know what she is interested in. After they talked, the girls started complimenting that since their last meeting, the lady had started behaving much more feminine. She thanked him for these words and admitted that she has been working on this for a long time and is glad that people notice such results. The woman says that she really hopes that in the future they will continue to exchange such pleasant words when they meet. Everyone knows that Madame Chatti never throws her smile around, and if she smiles, it means that the greeting was done in the best possible way, and Teresa coped with the task. After that, they started talking about how her birthday went and what she got from her parents. One of them changed for such a question, realized that it was none of her business, and said that if the girl does not want to answer, she does not have to do it. Teresa reacted normally. She said that she received a carriage from her father, a bracelet from her sister, and jewelry from her stepmother. She didn't really want to brag about it, but since they asked, she replied, "Suddenly, Madam says that big changes await the girl this year." As she sees it, Teresa is changing and becoming the flower of Soviet society. The girl had never heard anything like that. It was especially nice to hear it from a person like Madame Chatti. She wouldn't just say something like that. The flower of Soviet society, to become an empress, a mandatory condition is, be the center of attention at the summer ball which takes place in August, and receive a wreath from the emperor. But all this sounds like some kind of fantasy to her. She thinks that it won't affect her and there's no point in even dreaming about it. She replied that she was going to focus on her studies and was immediately praised for it. Then the ladies saw that same bracelet on her hand, but they didn't understand that it was the same gift she was talking about. She thought that they didn't like something. Maybe the jewelry didn't match her status, but still, she had to say that it was handmade and a gift from Livy, which she had already said. Teresa for some reason thought that she would be laughed at, but on the contrary, everyone said how cute it was. After that, they began to say goodbye. Everyone thanked each other for such a pleasant conversation and went their separate ways. Meanwhile, everyone has already taken their seats. The 15th item in the row is being sold. A mysterious item given by an anonymous sponsor. Magic key. No one has yet managed to figure out what mechanism opens the key, but everyone wants to buy it. The starting price was 300,000 coins. The girl began to think whether she was ready to give such a sum when suddenly, I heard that other people perceive this product as an ordinary antique and do not see anything special in it. Teresa realized that this was her chance. She immediately raised the price more than 3 times. I am ready to buy this key for 1,000,000 coins, and I am sure that hardly anyone present will offer more. Everyone immediately looked at her as if she were some kind of crazy spendthrift, but no one understands what she is actually paying so much money for. So the girl became the winner. Now all that's left is to give this huge amount, and the key will be in her hands. She gave the money, returned home before it was completely dark, and only now realized that she had done it. The commentators are already unhappy that she bought a useless key for that kind of money. And she didn't even explain anything to anyone, they still won't understand. And then I thought, why not talk to the audience? That's exactly what I have time for. To begin with, Teresa explained that she had deliberately chosen such a secluded room where there was almost no one, even in the hallway. She thought this moment through from the very beginning, otherwise nothing would have worked out. She turned this key where it was needed and got to a place where you can drown in luxury and diamonds. This is a black place from the previous generation. It can only be opened with the dimension key. There should be an inventory item somewhere around here. Her eyes run wild, but she still found what she needed. Here, every object is unique. Viewers have even stopped writing comments. They are so interested in watching it that it is impossible to get distracted. Nobody understands anything, but it looks very exciting how they love. At this point, the training is complete. The girl is waiting for tomorrow because that is when the real game and all the most interesting things will begin. The next day came. Teresa and Livy arrived at school and couldn't be happier that they were studying in the same institution. The younger sister is the happiest about this. The older one doesn't really care about this, but she is pleased that Lily is so happy about it. The younger sister admitted that she was very scared and she still didn't know that she even had magic. The girl tries to listen to her, but in her head she has thoughts about something completely different. In the game, Livy's arrival was a natural development of the plot. But in reality it seemed too much. Out of the blue, Teresa offers her the use of her carriage when she goes to school. Livy doesn't even know how to react. It's too fancy a carriage, she's very uncomfortable. But she still agreed and accepted the offer. At this point, they notice that they are the center of attention, most likely because of the carriage, or maybe not. The older sister warned that this would happen for some time. Looking at cute new girls is normal. You just need to get through it. Teresa was about to tell what was going on when one of her classmates screamed at the top of her lungs. She saw some guy started confessing her feelings to him and telling him how wonderful he is. When they heard the name Damian, they immediately realized that he was the vice president of the student council. Teresa hopes that her sister won't go crazy over hot guys like she did, because it looks too ridiculous from the outside. Now the event of the first meeting with Damian will begin. He runs into the hall, escaping from the crowd of girls, and accidentally has to run into the heroine. And since he receives a scholarship from the Squires Fund, there is no way to pass him by. Instead of running into another girl, he ran into Teresa and immediately began to apologize, suddenly frightened her, and after that began to explain that, as usual, he was being followed by freshmen. The girl doesn't understand why this happened. Actually, according to the plot, Livy was supposed to collide with Damian. She started to panic because if the plot changes, it means something might not go according to plan and she won't be prepared for it. Since she had already managed to buy something in the game store, a description of a person immediately appeared in front of her. Damian West. Age, 22 years old. Average height. Birthday, the 31st of January. Loves toys. Cooking. Sports games. Hates aristocrats. This has never happened before, but suddenly, a level of sympathy appeared, so far 1 heart out of 5. This means that you can conquer him even when playing as Teresa. It's just a pity that there is only 1 heart. That's how the character changes depending on sympathy. 1 heart. Friends. 2 hearts out of 5. Good friends who can see each other every day, but at the same time, do not cross any boundaries, only friendship and nothing more. 3 hearts out of 5. This is already flirting. Something more than friendship, but it is still too early for a relationship. They appear only on small ones about the fact that someone has some feelings and begins to show signs of attention. 4 hearts out of 5, that's already love. And 5, a good ending and complete affection for a person. All hearts should be painted red, but now he has only 1, and it's black towards her. It's not the same as a red heart. It's a negative state, a bad ending entry stage, something like a warning for the players. Black Heart from the very beginning for Teresa. This is, of course, expected, but still too much. Teresa plays the role of a person who humiliates Damian, considering him an ordinary person, unworthy of appearing in high society. But it is hardly worth behaving like this, otherwise sympathy may decrease and he will have 2 black hearts. They are already familiar with them, so the girl started talking nicely to him so that next time he wouldn't perceive her as a villain. She urgently needs to correct the impression of herself, and that's what she's doing now. Unexpectedly, he complimented her and said that she looked especially good today, and that he didn't even recognize her at first. She thanked him for this and invited him to meet her free sister. Livy is very embarrassed. She is one of those who is crazy about it at first sight. They met. Damian asked her not to worry because he now feels exactly the same as she does. He even admitted that she was the most beautiful of his group. He had already met everyone, but she seemed the most normal to him. At least Livy didn't run at him and act like the others. Teresa took matters into her own hands. She asked him to take her sister where she needed to go, because she herself allegedly had trouble finding her way around here. He replied that it was not difficult, and then asked how they knew that he was going exactly where they were. The girl let it slip again, so she said that everyone already knew about it, and there was only one place in that direction where he could go. At that moment, some girl comes up to them and starts yelling at Teresa, asks her to get off Damian, and Teresa remembers that she saw her among those guys. There is a whole group of them, and this one is called Mimosa. She is also very jealous, even towards those who don't owe her anything. Even in Valhalla, where equality is sought, few dare to treat Teresa as if she were beneath them. But Mimosa could. She was the daughter of the Duke Bruni and, like Teresa, a villain. Her mother is the Emperor's half-sister, meaning the blood of the imperial family flows in the girl's veins. Proof of this are her lavender eyes, which are impossible not to notice. Mimosa starts to push Teresa away. She won't give her Damian to anyone, and the guy doesn't even know that he's with this girl. She's made something up for herself, and now he's very uncomfortable. He asked the girl to calm down, asked who they were to each other, and if not, then she had no right to decide who he should communicate with and who he shouldn't. And also, instead of yelling at her in response, Teresa smiled sweetly and said how good it was that they met. They hadn't seen each other for a long time, and she was very glad to meet her. After that, she started asking how she spent her holidays, and these words made Mimosa feel disgusted. After that, the girl introduced her to her sister, and then came closer, supposedly to hug, and whispered that if she tortured or humiliated her, her safety is no longer guaranteed and it will not matter what family she is from. The lady got scared. She asked how dare they threaten her, especially since there are so many witnesses and her friends who won't tolerate it. In fact, Teresa is trying to help not only her sister, but also Mimosa, because according to the plot, the main character is Livy, and if someone harms her, she will immediately regret it. Everyone immediately started to come together, discuss this situation. Damian wanted to run away, but again found himself in the center of attention. Rumors spread. It became unbearable to hear your name from every corner. In Valhalla, there are 2 clubs of fans of the main characters. One, the Brides of Clyde, the Clyders. Other, people obsessed with Damian. Teresa, president of Clyder, and Mimosa, president of Demise. There cannot be 2 luminaries under the sun. They are the heads of opposing factions and have been enemies for many years. When the girl was making all this up, she didn't even think about how it would all turn out, and for her personally. She was very nervous, tired. Livy noticed this and tried to help. In the end, the girl just grabbed her hand and said that they needed to go for a walk, but she wasn't thrilled. She doesn't understand what's going on, where they're dragging her, and suddenly, they almost crash into one person. This is Professor Ilya. Everyone knows him, and at this moment, Teresa decided to take advantage of the opportunity. She told him that she would like to discuss her career with him. If, of course, he had a few minutes of time. He immediately invited her into his office, asking only to start with the main thing so as not to waste a lot of time. Mimosa got even more angry. She realized that no one was even looking at her anymore. She turned around and left. As for the character named Ilya, his age is 30 years old, birthday is April 10th, loves silence, books, investigations, hates noise, ignorance, and relatives. His sympathy level for Teresa is at 0, probably because she saw Damian's black heart, or I look almost like an angel. He already invites her into his office, asks her not to worry because he himself remembers how difficult it is at that age to solve some problems, especially with adults. In this game world, there are different races: gods, angels, demons, monsters. Before, their worlds could not intersect, but because of one event, the distances between dimensions were sharply reduced. Or am I connected with this event? It has another name, the Great Demon, Ablo, which few people know, or rather, almost no one. He is not as simple as it may seem, and Teresa knows this very well. He requires a special approach. The great angel Elia. He was the most powerful angel among those who ruled the heavenly kingdom. In fact, being the ruler of heaven. But when the angels destroyed his twin sister and banished Elia to the demon world, he fell and chose a new name that he engraved in his soul. This name was the great demon Ablo. Elia's goal is to destroy heaven and angels. For this, he must first destroy the human world, which is an intermediate transition. But at the moment, the girl has no regrets about this. Meanwhile, he tells her that he doesn't like to waste time, to which she replies that there are parts of the textbook that she doesn't understand. This is a second-year textbook, to which he asked what part she had managed to get to. She showed him everything, to which he replied that apparently someone had not studied the third-year program well and had moved on to the fourth early. He advised them to repeat everything they had already covered. Everything was in the third-year textbook. After that, he sent her to study the material. But of course, she is not going to read any of these books. On the way, she meets 3 girls. They are happy to see her and ask how she's doing. The girl doesn't have time to answer their questions. They ask new ones and seem to be communicating with each other. The only thing she wanted to tell them was to be nice to her sister. In the Gliders, like in the main character's fan group, everyone acts like villains torturing Livy. But as long as Teresa is president, she can stop it. The whole problem is that we need to somehow destroy all these fan clubs because all the problems come from them. Evening has come, now it's time to rest. She has just agreed on a hostel and will live here for the next academic year. She already knew that this is not the best environment, but it is better than living in constant stress with her parents. She just wanted something for dinner, and circumstances turned out in such a way that she found a note that sandwiches were already waiting for her. The girl quickly had a bite, lay down on the bed, and wanted this day to finally end. She was about to go and change, but the administrator appeared, who, as always, was at the wrong time. She started remembering what they had talked about the last time, and while he was eating the second sandwich she had saved for tomorrow, she wanted to fall through the ground. He suddenly started talking about how, because she eats little, she constantly has no strength, but Teresa doesn't understand. Is it really that he wants to talk about it? It turns out that this was just the beginning. He prepared a whole table for her so that she could have a normal dinner at least today. The guy asked not to be shy and acts as if this is some kind of date and not just a meeting between the administrator and the character. Teresa doesn't quite understand what this all means. She's a little stressed by the fact that he barely talks about anything related to her experience. He constantly looks at her with such a look that it makes her feel uneasy. Hundreds of comments poured in. Everyone likes what's happening except for her. He's already starting to pour wine into a glass. This doesn't look much like a serious conversation anymore. This is what she doesn't like the most. They could discuss anything without food, but he made it look like it was some kind of date. The administrator hides behind the fact that he is only doing something that helps to increase the sympathy of the audience. Teresa understands perfectly well that everything would be fine without him, and that he is clearly not telling her something. It seems to her that he has already crossed some line and treats her in a special way. And also, as if out of politeness, he asks her how she likes this new world, although in reality he is hardly interested in it. After that, some strange questions appeared. For example, which of the characters she had already seen was close to her ideal type of man? She told him that she hadn't met anyone like that yet, hinting that he wasn't her type either. He reacted to this very calmly, although she wanted to upset him and make sure that this dinner was ruined and that he would leave her as soon as possible. To somehow keep the conversation going, she admitted that her ideal type of man is waiting for her in the future, but he hasn't appeared yet. This is Professor Felix, the man from the laboratory that looks like a botanical garden. His ability to communicate with animals is amazing, even though the Emperor character hasn't come out yet. All 3 of the male leads she's met today are amazing. The girl says that it's all a bit unrealistic and it was difficult to even just get used to it, but she's already succeeding. She notices how the administrator is starting to be jealous of her for Felix, whom she hasn't met yet. The administrator is the one who is absolutely ruthless to people. He is a much more dangerous opponent than the male characters she has encountered today. Meanwhile, she said that she was also very curious about something. He said that this was his first romantic broadcast, and how much he wants all this to end, and is she somehow connected with it? He says that since there has been no romance yet, He wouldn't mind if it all started right here and now. Teresa tensed up. She couldn't believe her ears and really wanted to just hear it. He starts touching her hair, getting closer and closer, checking how she reacts to it. When suddenly, a phrase rang out that she never expected to hear from him. A little more, and he will become her fan. She hopes he's only pretending to be so nice for the sake of the broadcast's success, but she feels he needs something more. Lately, he has been allowing himself too much. He now touches her as boldly as he talks to her. Meanwhile, she gets some quest, join the student council. The reward is 100,000 coins, and for refusal, she will have to go to school. The guy tells her that no matter how much she struggles in an unfamiliar world, there is nothing inspiring or fun here, just like he said initially. He also begins to hint that the less they see him, the more difficult tasks she will receive and the more she will spend her balance. She already hates this administrator. He is kind of strange. Apparently, it was not for nothing that she didn't like him at the very beginning. At that moment, she made up her mind and told him that she was going to rest and she no longer had the strength to talk to him. She was scared of how he might react to this, but there was no other choice. She was really tired. Suddenly, he grabs her by the face and warns that if next time she is as cold to him as she was today, this could end very badly for her. Because as always, her success in this world depends only on his mood, and she has a very strong influence on this. Then he whispered in her ear that he wished her good night and really wanted her to remember him before she went to sleep. She was already so tired of these phrases that she agreed. If only he would leave her alone, and finally, it happened. He disappeared. She was left alone in this room, and now she wants to cry because of how unfair everything is. Her life literally depends on how well the administrator treats her, even if she has completed all the levels well. A huge number of points does not guarantee any security. He can cancel everything at any moment, and this is very scary. So she can always strive for something, but because of him, she will never give up on it. The next day came. A classmate approached her and confessed that she noticed when Teresa was at the Duke's residence, she changed her dress at least twice a day. And it's hard for her to imagine how the girl came to terms with the fact that she has to wear the same uniform here. Teresa replied that for her, this was no problem at all. She didn't even notice how she stopped wearing different outfits and switched to a uniform. After this, a classmate asked why the girl stopped wearing jewelry and apologized in advance if she was meddling in something that wasn't her business. Teresa replied that it may seem like it was very difficult for her, but everything is much easier and simpler than it seems. It was never important for her to look like this. It was as if she was about to go to some event. She can easily be in shape, and it does not bother her at all. Some time passed, she thought to take a walk around the area. Teresa hopes that no one will approach her. She is already tired of communicating with people and wants to be alone. Suddenly, she crashed into someone's shoulder. She didn't even see who this person was. The girl didn't look around, felt terribly awkward, and started apologizing. She explained that she was looking at a book and did not see anyone walking in front of her. "It's a surprising meeting," the guy said. That everything is fine and doesn't think she's guilty at all. Damian, mage, member of the Villains Guild. His main occupation is vice president, and his part-time job is dark deeds that he keeps secret. When the girl created the game, she thought that this duality was part of Damian's charms. But now that she's in this body, this is just part of her death, and she needs to be careful with this person. At first, she was confused by his beauty, but now by the mere thought of what he could do to her if he wanted. Then she asked if he was going to the main building by any chance, and if so, she suggested going there together and quickly. On the way, he suggested that we go into his laboratory. It is very spacious and clean. She was pleased that he brought her here, because he knows that he doesn't always allow even his friends to be here. Here he wants to make coffee for them, because he doesn't like the smell and taste in coffee shops at all. Looking around the lab, she noticed that the space reflected the character's personality and thought that he probably came here very often. There is everything for living here: a sofa, a kitchen, a workplace, and even a room to welcome guests. Everything was fine, but she begins to sense a slight hypocrisy from him, as if he will receive some benefit from this meeting and is trying to make sure that she does not leave him ahead of time. The sympathy window appeared in front of her again. She saw that he already had 2 black hearts out of 5. If they were red, it would be great. But as it is very scary. Meanwhile, they sat down at the table, and while the drink was brewing, he began to ask why her sister looked so upset yesterday. The girl explained that it was all because of the heartless grading system at this school. Livy learned that if her grades were too low, she would be expelled. If she failed the demon due to injury, she could be expelled too. Here they expel you for any little thing, even insignificant, and it's terrible. Students literally have no right to make a mistake. She herself is surprised when she studied until the 4th year. Time passed unnoticed and she wants everything to be the same with her sister. Teresa wanted to add ice cubes to her coffee because she can't stand drinks that are too hot. He looked at her as if she had added a pinch of salt or something. The guy started saying something, that it was against the rules of etiquette, and she replied that it was her preference and she didn't see anything so terrible in it. She thinks it's the same as, for example, some people dilute hot tea with water or don't like very cold drinks. The girl finished her drink, said that it really tasted better than in coffee shops, and decided to go about her business. She needs to read the book before the lecture because if she doesn't, there will be problems. Damian suggested going with her. He also has a class soon, which it would be better not to be late for. And then there was a knock on the door. They immediately recognized the voice of Mimosa, and if she saw them together now, she would definitely think the wrong thing. Teresa is already starting to think about where she can cope, because she doesn't need any extra problems. She saw some door and ran in that direction, but for some reason he stopped her and asked why she was so nervous because there was nothing wrong with him communicating with whoever he wanted in his lab. She tells him that there is no time to explain, he needs to hide. And right now, meanwhile, Mimosa herself came in without permission. I thought I'd see him here, but these two were already hiding so that she could leave quickly and not notice anything. At this moment, the girl realizes that she pulled him along in vain because he didn't need to hide. Meanwhile, Mimosa saw 2 cups of coffee on the table and immediately understood everything. The guy himself didn't understand why he got nervous. He started asking Teresa not to move, although he is a free man and can do whatever he wants with whomever he wants. Mimosa already saw lipstick marks on the cup. Teresa is shaking with excitement at this moment, and at the same time, she is angry with herself for hiding from some Mimosa to whom she owes nothing. In the end, that girl left. She is very angry and ready to destroy everything in her path. These two finally came out of the utility room. It was very dark, stuffy, and hot there. They themselves don't know what they're afraid of because there's nothing to be afraid of, but something still worries them. Now they remembered one thing. If you need to hide somewhere, you need to choose a place with more air and space. She asked me to tell her next time where it would be better to hide so that she wouldn't have to suffocate, and then she said that she still doesn't understand why they did it at all and who they are afraid of. It was a very awkward situation. Damian just said it was fun and unusual, and then he has a question for her. For some reason, he always thought that she hated him, and only after a couple of minutes, Teresa understands that she is a villain and usually made fun of him. He asked her what needed to be done so that they could start communicating normally, because he had wanted this for a very long time. Teresa replied that today, she does not feel a drop of hatred towards him and simply forgives him for everything that happened between them before. The guy didn't think she would answer like that. He is very pleased, but he doesn't show it. Out of the blue, as soon as she made him happy, the guy confessed his feelings. It turns out he liked her even when she was a real villain and literally ruined his life. The girl didn't think that this could happen. She had no idea how to react to it. Commentators suggest that they need to kiss now, but she's not ready for it. She answered very carefully that she needed to think about it first, that it was all unexpected. He said that he understood everything, gave her time to think so as not to pressure or scare her. In the end, they said goodbye. The girl went about her business, and a couple of minutes later, a bird knocked on his window. This is a message to the guide. There is a small letter attached to it. Check Livy Squire, magical power characteristics, report other things that need checking. At the moment, he doesn't know anything about her. He hasn't heard anything except that she used to live in the slums. The complete opposite of Teresa, a noble lady among nobles.